They try to put one another into the most abnormal condition. Balram instructed Rukmini that her affection toward her brother Rukmi, who had created enmity with so many persons, was a perverse considerations befitting an ordinary materialistic person. Her brother's character was not at all admirable, considering his treatment toward other friends. And yet, Rukmini, as an ordinary woman, was so affectionate toward him. He was not fit to be her brother, and still Rukmini was lenient toward him. So we will now continue. Beside that, Balram continued, the consideration that a person is neutral or is one's friend or enemy is generally made by persons who are in a bodily concepts of life. Such foolish persons become bewildered by the illusionary energy of the Supreme Lord. The spirit soul is of the same pure quality in any embodiment of matter. But those who are not sufficiently intelligent see only the bodily differentiation of animal and man, literates and illiterates, rich and poor, and so on, which cover the pure spirit soul. Such differentiation observed purely on the basis of the body is exactly like differentiation between fire in terms of the different type of fuel they consume. Whatever the size and shape of the fuel, there is no such variety of size and shape of the fire which comes out. Similarly, in the sky, there are no difference in size or shape. In this way, Balram appeased them by his moral and ethical instruction. He stated further, this body is part of the material manifestation. The living entity or spirit soul, being in contact with matter, is transmigrating due to illusory enjoyment from one body to another, and that is known as the material existence. This contact of the living entity with the material manifestation has neither integration nor disintegrations. My dear chaste sister-in-law, the spirit soul is of course the cause of this material body, as much as the sun is the cause of sunlight, eyesight, and the form of the material manifestation. The example of the sunshine and the material manifestation is very appropriate in the matter of understanding the living entities' contact with the material world. In the morning, there is a sunrise, and the heat and light expand gradually throughout the whole day. The sun is the cause of all material production and shapes and form. It is due to the sun that integration and disintegration of material elements take place. But as soon as the sun is set, the whole manifestation is no longer connected to the sun, which has passed from one place to another. When the sun passes from the eastern to the western hemisphere, the result of interactions due to the sunshine in the eastern hemisphere remains. But the sunshine itself is visible again on the western hemisphere. Similarly, the living entity accepts or produces different bodies and different bodily relationships in a particular circumstance. But as soon as he gives up the present body and accepts another, he has nothing to do with the former body. Similarly, the living entity has nothing to do with the next body which he accepts. He is always free from the contact of this bodily contamination. Therefore, the conclusion is that the appearance and disappearance of the body have nothing to do with the living entity, as much as the waxing and waning of the moon have nothing to do with the moon. When there is waxing of the moon, we falsely think that the moon is developing. And when there is waning of the moon, we think that the moon is decreasing. Factually, the moon as it is always the same. It has nothing to do with the such visible waxing and waning activities. So the consciousness of the material existence can be compared to sleeping and dreaming. When a man sleeps, he dreams of many non-factual happenings. And as a result of dreaming, he becomes subjected to different kind of distress and happiness. Similarly, when a person is in dreaming condition of material consciousness, he suffers the effect of accepting a body and giving it up again in material existence. Opposite to this material consciousness is Krishna consciousness. In other words, when a man is elevated to the platform of Krishna consciousness, he becomes free from these false conceptions of life. What a wonderful analogy has been given, huh? In this way, Sri Balram instructed them in spiritual knowledge. He addressed his sister-in-law thus, "Sweet, smiling Rukmini, do not be aggrieved by false motives caused by ignorance. Due to false notions only, one becomes unhappy. But this unhappiness is immediately removed by discussing the philosophy of actual life. Be happy on that platform only." After hearing such enlightening instruction from Sri Balram, Rukmini immediately became pacified and happy and adjusted her mental condition, which was very much afflicted by seeing the degraded positions of her brother, Rukmi. As far as Rukmi was concerned, neither was his promise fulfilled, nor his mission successful. He had come from home with his soldiers and military to defeat Krishna and release his sister. But on the contrary, he lost all his soldiers and military strength. He was personally much degraded, and in that condition, he was very sorry. But by the grace of the Lord, he could continue his life to the fixed destination. Because he was a Kshatriya, he could remember his promise that he would not return to his capital city, Kundena, without killing Krishna and releasing his sister, which he had failed to do. Therefore, he decided in anger not to return to his capital city, and he constructed a small cottage in the village known as Bhojkat and began to reside there for the rest of his life. So after defeating all the opposing elements and forcibly carrying away Rukmini, Krishna brought her to his capital city Dwarka and then married her according to the Vedic ritualistic principle. After this marriage, Krishna became the king of the Yadu at Dwarka. On the occasion of his marriage with Rukmini, all the inhabitants were happy, and in every house there were great ceremonies. The inhabitants of Dwarka city became so pleased that they dressed themselves with the nicest possible ornaments and garments, and they went to present gifts according to their means to the newlywed married couple, Krishna and Rukmini. All the house of Yadupuri, Dwarka, were decorated with flags, festoons, and flowers. Each and every house had an extra gate especially prepared for this occasion. And on both sides of the gate, there were big water jugs filled with water. The whole city was flavored by the burning of high quality incense, and at night there was illumination by thousands of lamps decorating each and every building. We can just envision this beautiful scene. The entire city appeared jubilant on the occasion of Lord Krishna's marriage with Rukmini. Everywhere in the city, there was profuse decoration of banana trees and betel nut trees. These two trees are considered very auspicious in happy ceremonies. At the same time, there was an assembly of many elephants who carried the respective king of different friendly kingdoms. It is the habit of the elephant that whenever he sees some small plant and trees, out of his sportive, frivolous nature, he uproots the tree and throws them hither and thither. The elephants assembled on this occasion also scattered the banana and betel nut trees. But in spite of such intoxicated action, the whole city, with the tree thrown here and there, looked very nice. The question and answer session we hold at 8 o'clock. Haribol. The friendly kings of the Kurus and the Pandavas were represented by Dhritarashtra, the 5 Pandu brothers, King Draupad, King Santardana, as well as Rukmini's father Bhismaka. Because of Krishna's kidnapping Rukmini, there was initially some misunderstanding between the two families. But Bhismaka, king of Vidarbha, being approached by Sri Balram and pursued by many saintly persons, was induced to participate in the marriage ceremony of Krishna and Rukmini. Although the incidence of Krishna's kidnapping was not a very happy occurrence in the kingdom of Vidarbha, kidnapping was not an unusual affair among the Kshatriyas. Kidnapping was in fact current in almost all marriages. Anyway, King Bhismaka was from the very beginning inclined to hand over his beautiful daughter to Krishna. In one way or another, his purpose has been served, and so he was pleased to join the marriage ceremony, even though his eldest son was degraded in the fight. It is mentioned in the Padma Puran that Maharaj Nand and the cowherd boys of Vrindavan joined the marriage ceremony. Kings from the kingdom of Kuru, Shrunjaya, Kekaya, Vidarbha, and Kunti came to Dwarka on this occasion with all the royal paraphernalia. The story of Rukmini's being kidnapped by Krishna was poetized, and the professional readers recited everywhere. All the assembled kings, and especially their daughters, were struck with wonder and became very pleased upon hearing the wonderful activities of Krishna. So in this way, all visitors as well as the inhabitants of Dwarka city became joyful, seeing Krishna and Rukmini together. In other words, the Supreme Lord, the maintainer of everyone, and the goddess of fortune were united, and all the people felt extremely jubilant. Thus, the Bhaktivedanta purport to the 53rd chapter of Krishna. Krishna defeats all the princes and takes Rukmini home to Dwarka. So we will start. We have the time. Chapter 54, Pradyumna born to Krishna and Rukmini. It is said that the Cupid, who is directly part and parcel of the Lord Vasudeva, and who was formerly burned to ashes by the anger of Lord Shiva, took birth in the womb of Rukmini, begotten by Krishna. This is Kamadeva, a demigod of the heavenly planets, especially capable of inducing lusty desires. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna has many grades of parts and parcel, but the quadruple expansion of Krishna, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Anuruddha are directly in the Vishnu category. Kam, or the Cupid demigod, who later on took his birth in the womb of Rukmini, was also named Pradyumna. But he cannot be Pradyumna of the Vishnu category. He belongs to the category of the Jiva Tattva. But for special power in the category of the demigods, he was a part and parcel of the super prowess of Pradyumna. That is the verdict of the Goswamis. Therefore, when Cupid was burned into ashes by the anger of the Lord Shiva, he merged into the body of Vasudeva. And in order to get his body again, he was begotten by Lord Krishna himself. He was directly released from his body in the womb of Rukmini and was born as the son of Krishna, celebrated by the name Pradyumna. Because he was begotten by Lord Krishna directly, his qualities were most similar to those of Krishna. So there was a demon of the name Sambara who was destined to be killed by Pradyumna. The Sambara demon knew of his destiny, and as soon as he learned that Pradyumna was born, he took the shape of a woman and kidnapped the baby from the maternity home less than 10 days after his birth. The demon took him and threw him directly into the sea. But as it is said, whoever is protected by Krishna, no one can kill. And whoever is destined to be killed by Krishna, no one can protect. Haribol. When Pradyumna was thrown in the sea, a big fish immediately swallowed him. And later on, this fish was caught by the net of a fisherman. And the fish was later on sold to the Samara demon. In the kitchen of the demon, there was a maidservant whose name was Mayavati. This woman had formerly been the wife of Cupid and has been called Rati. When the feast was presented to the demon Samra, it was taken charge of by his cook, who was to make it into palatable fish preparation. Demons and the Rakshasas are accustomed to eat meat, fish, and similar non-vegetarian food. Similarly, other demons like Ravana, Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, although born of Brahmana and Kshatriya fathers, used to take meat and flesh without discrimination. This practice is still prevalent in India, and those who are meat and fish eaters are generally called demons and Rakshasas. So when the cook was cutting the fish, he found a nice baby within the belly of the fish, and he immediately presented him to the charge of Mayavati, who was an assistant in the kitchen affairs. This woman was surprised to see how such a nice baby could remain within the belly of a fish, and the situation perplexed her. The great sage Narad then appeared. Narad Muni always appeared, and explained to her about the birth of Pradyumna, how the baby had been taken away by Samra and later on thrown into the sea, and so on. In this way, the whole story was disclosed to Mayavati, who had formerly been Rati, the wife of Cupid. Mayavati knew that she has previously been the wife of Cupid. After her husband was burned into ashes by the wrath of Lord Shiva, she was always expecting him to come back again in the material form. And this woman was engaged for cooking rice and dal in the kitchen. But when she got this nice baby and understood that he was Cupid, her own husband, she naturally took charge of him and with great affection began to bathe him. Miraculously, the baby very swiftly grew up, and within a very short period, he became a very beautiful young man. His eyes were just like the petals of lotus flowers. His arms were very long, down to the knees, and any woman who happened to see him became captivated by his bodily beauty. So Mayavati could understand that her former husband Cupid, born as Pradyumna, had grown into such a nice young man. And she also gradually became captivated and lusty. She was smiling before him with a feminine attractiveness, expressing her desire for sexual unity. He therefore inquired from her, how is it possible that first of all you were affectionate like a mother, and now you are expressing the symptoms of a lusty woman? What is the reason for such a change? On hearing this statement from Pradyumna, the woman Rati replied, my dear sir, you are the son of Lord Krishna. Before you were 10 days old, you were stolen by Samra demon and later on thrown into the water and swallowed up by the fish. In this way, you have come under my care. But actually, in your former life as Cupid, I was your wife. Therefore, my manifestation of conjugal symptom is not at all incompatible. Samra wanted to kill you, and he is endowed with various kind of mystic powers. Therefore, before he again attempts to kill you, please kill him as soon as possible with your divine power. Since you were stolen by Samra, your mother, Rukmini Devi, has been in a very grievous conditions, like a cuckoo bird who lost her babies. She is very affectionate toward you, and since you have been taken away from her, she has been living like a cow, aggrieved over the loss of its calf. So Mayavati has mystic knowledge of supernatural power. Supernatural powers are generally known as Maya. And to supersede all such supernatural power, there is another supernatural power, which is called Mahamaya. Mayavati had the knowledge of the mystic power of Mahamaya, and she delivered to Pradyumna this specific energetic power in order to defeat the mystic powers of the Samra demon. Thus, being empowered by his wife, Pradyumna immediately went before Samra and challenged him to fight. Pradyumna began to address him in a very strong language so that his temper might be agitated and he would be moved to fight. At Pradyumna's words, the demon Samra, being insulted, felt just like a snake feel after being struck by one's leg. A serpent cannot tolerate being kicked by another animal or by a man, and he immediately bites the opponent. So I think we have come to the point that we need to stop. It's 6:53. So with those thoughts, wonderful stories, huh? Krishna's pastimes are so beautiful. With those thoughts, we should always remain happy, jubilant, and totally fearless. And whoever we come across, give them a kind word that that life can also become successful and with no fear. With those thoughts, I would like to offer my humble obeisances at the dusk of the lotus feet of all these great Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who take austerity to wake up early in the morning to give their kind association from Houston, from Fresno, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Aurora, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, Boston, Boise, Atlanta, Phoenix, Tempe, Austin, College Station, San Jose, Portland, Dallas, Detroit, Chicago, Naperville, Philadelphia, Charlotte, Baltimore, Baton Rouge, Alachua, Orlando, Sanford, Jacksonville, St. Louis, San Diego, Loganville, Georgia, Ohio, Maine, New Orleans, Ottawa, Calcutta, New Delhi, and Pondicherry. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So thank you very much. The devotees who may have to take their respective duties and they may have to leave, they are welcome to do so. And we will be looking forward, if Krishna so desire, to see you at 2 o'clock in the morning, Central Standard Time, or you can join at your convenient time. So I think the rest of us who would like to stay on and chant some more Hare Krishna Mahamantra, welcome to do so. We will be chanting until 8 p.m.